Now then, to England's showdown with Norway in the quarterfinals of the World Cup on Saturday. Morgan Rogers admits he can't stop himself dreaming about going all the way to the final, and he thinks the win over Mexico has shown the world that they have the grit and the determination to do it.
I think it was more about showing everyone else. I think we knew that within ourselves, that we had that extra bit, that what it takes. Everyone can be a good team, everyone can have good players and win games off ability, but we knew we had that difference of togetherness, grit, determination that I think hadn't been shown yet in the games we've played and the way that they've gone. It hasn't necessarily required that. So a game to require that and to win that way, I think, showed to the world that we can win in different types of ways with different atmospheres, different environments that you have to go through as a team, and to do that, I think gives us a lot of confidence, but I think gives the fans back home and everyone that extra bit of belief that no matter how the game's going, we'll find a way, and we've got the ability to find a way. So I think that's the most important thing coming from the game.
You're 2 wins away from reaching a World Cup final. Are you even allowing your head to think that far ahead, or is it solely on the next opposition and the next match?
A bit of both. I think we're human, and you can't help think that every game win is a step closer to the end goal. But at the same time, if you take your eye off the ball for any second, I think that's where you can get punished in this game. It's really fine margins. It can be mentality of going into a game that can decide a game and be the difference. So I think we have to dust ourselves off. We've kind of broke it down to different stages of the tournament and how we attack it and how we see it going, and that can kind of switch our mindset kind of differently, and we're all aligned, we're all on the same page of attacking each game in the best way possible, really. So I think, yeah, it's difficult because we're all human and we're all excited as we should be, but at the same time, we know we've got a job to do, and it's still a long way away from that yet.
Well, Rogers also told us that he wasn't surprised to see Norway beat Brazil, and also admitted they have got a huge job on their hands trying to stop Erling Haaland.
No, I'm not surprised at all. They're one of the best strikers in the world, and when he's on the pitch, anything can happen. You can never be surprised if Erling scores 2 goals and they win a game. He's done it how many times over his career, and yeah, he keeps doing it. They're a difficult team. I watched a bit of the game, and they were the better team for large parts and deserve to be here, and it's going to be a difficult game. I think you can get bogged down in it sounding and being Brazil, but at the end of the day, if they don't beat Norway, then Norway deserve to be there, and that's who we're facing. So yeah, we need to look at it exactly the same as we would if it was Brazil, and yeah, it's going to be a really difficult game, and they've got really, really good players.
How do you expect to stop Erling Haaland, that you know pretty well?
Has anyone ever stopped Erling Haaland? I'm not sure they have, but we're going to try. You're going to have to try. I think he's such an unbelievable player. The things he does, the numbers he puts up, you're just in awe of how good he is and the level he's at. We're going to have to maybe try and stop how they play and work on those things and stop how the balls go into him and how he gets his chances, because he's so deadly in front of goal. And we've got to be aware of that. We've got to know that. But also, it's not just him. They've got other good players as well that we play against regular basis in the Premier League that we need to be mindful on. And yeah, they're a really good team. I think that's what their biggest super strength is, that as a team, as a unit, they're so strong.
Meanwhile, midfielder Jordan Henderson has posted an update on Instagram after breaking his arm at the Azteca Stadium. He says, "Surgery done, now let's get ready for the big one on Saturday. Thank you to all the staff that looked after me at Kansas City Orthopedic Institute, especially the 3 surgeons who carried out the operation." Morgan Rogers hopes that Henderson will remain an integral part of the squad despite being ruled out for the rest of the tournament.
Hopefully he can be still involved with us going for the rest of the tournament. He's not going to rule himself out, and neither are we. I think the belief he's got in his own body and his ability and his confidence and the way he is and what he kind of represents as a person is massive to our group, and he's everything really, and kind of the heartbeat of the group. And yeah, to see him this morning smiling and still as happy as he ever is, no matter what's happened in the last 48 hours or whatnot, it's so nice for us to just see him, and yeah, hopefully we can get him back out on the pitch as soon as possible, really.
Really interesting to hear Morgan Rogers there talking about just how special that victory against Mexico in Mexico City was for the England squad, how much they enjoyed it, but he also hinted just how much it had taken out of the players and how many of them are struggling with fatigue. We saw when England trained for the first time since that win in the Azteca Stadium, that there were some absentees. Reece James, not a huge surprise, he wasn't out there as he continues to nurse that hamstring problem. But it was a surprise to see Declan Rice and Mark Guéhi absent from the training session, and that's a real concern for England. OK, we've still got quite a few days for them to recover and get ready for a huge quarter-final against Norway, and we don't know whether it's fatigue or maybe a minor injury that each of those is struggling with. But to have those two key players not out on the grass is very, very significant. We'll have to monitor that carefully over the next few days in exactly the same way that England's medics will. Interesting, though, that Morgan Rogers said that he wouldn't rule Jordan Henderson out of the possibility of him playing again at this World Cup. I'd been told that Henderson's World Cup was over after he had surgery on that broken wrist after falling in Mexico City. But Rogers said, "I won't rule him out. He's the heartbeat of the group." That's significant. Could Jordan Henderson play for England again at this World Cup? Let's see. Rogers also talked up his Aston Villa teammate Ezri Konsa, who he said doesn't get the credit that he deserves, and he backs him to do a job against Erling Haaland in this quarter-final in Miami. And then finally, one other thing I wanted to point out was the mantra from any footballer that you ever talk to is next game is the one that's important. We don't look beyond the next game. All of our focus is on this next match. Morgan Rogers is very human, and he said, look, I am dreaming of a World Cup final. It does cross my mind. It's a bit of a dual-edged sword. Yes, the focus is all on Norway, but he admitted that it has crossed his mind just how special it would be to step out on that stadium in New Jersey and win the World Cup for England.
Yeah, would be something, wouldn't it? OK, let's get the other side of the equation then in this massive World Cup quarter-final. Norway, they're into the last eight for the very first time, and our reporter Gary Cottrell has the lowdown.
Norway, of course, the toughest test, you have to say, for England so far in this World Cup. So we'll take anything we can get, won't we, as England fans, to give England that little bit of an advantage. So we were, I guess, quite pleased when we heard there was an illness bug spreading through the Norway camp. Well, the bad news is that it's actually something and nothing. It's been exaggerated, according to the head coach. According to the captain, it's nothing to worry about. Mainly it's coaching staff who have suffered a little bit. Martin Odegaard's name was mentioned when we spoke about it in the news conference or the interview here earlier on today, but it's Odegaard's uncle, who's a physio, who's suffered a little bit with this illness. So a clean bill of health as far as the Norwegian players are concerned. We've seen them train, and as I say, we spoke to the captain and the head coach before training about, among other things, the suggestions of an illness.
I think the illness is, it's the right Ødegaard who are sick. It's his uncle who is a physio who is sick. It's not Martin, so everything is fine, every player is fine, so there's no sickness among the players. There's been one or two in the staff. So at this moment we are all ready to go.
So it's all been exaggerated a little bit in the media?
Not just a little bit.
I think when you change temperature and air condition and all that is normal, you know, so it's nothing major, to be honest. But yeah, we've had a few people feeling a bit sick, but nothing major, and should be all good for Saturday.
Martin Odegaard looking so relaxed. He gave his first two answers in a packed media opportunity, full of international journalists, to Sky Sports News. So that was kind of him, and to the media officer with the Norway national team. And I asked him inevitably about the fact that he was coming up against some Arsenal teammates, and had there been any bants beforehand, and particularly, of course, about coming face to face on the pitch with Declan Rice.
I've spoken to a few of them a little bit during the tournament, but obviously we know the quality they have. I know them really well. Outstanding players, world-class players, playing for probably one of the best national teams in the world at the moment. So it's going to be a big test for us. But I think Brazil was the same. You know, we were the underdogs, and as you saw, anything can happen in football. So yeah, we're going to give it a good try and see what we can do, and looking forward to it.
And coming up against Dec?
Yeah, massive. He's been outstanding for such a long time. Playing with him, I think you can see all the qualities, you know, and yeah, such a pleasure to share the pitch with him, and yeah, what he's been doing for such a long time is just unbelievable. So yeah, looking forward to the challenge and to see them all.
So no illness. They can get rid of that suggestion and move forward from any concern about that, can the Norwegians? But of course, for England and Norway, two sets of players really not used to playing in hot weather. The weather come kick-off on Saturday will be a concern. There's already concerns being raised because it's going to be, the temperature gauges are going to read 33, 34 degrees Celsius come kick-off time. But the scientists are saying when you take everything into account, it will feel like, for the players out on that pitch without a roof, without air conditioning, more like 40, which is dangerously hot. Neither team, I'm sure, will let that affect them in terms of the preparation. I'm sure they'll do things to make them as ready as possible. But it's interesting that the Norwegians came out here match day -4, 4 days before the game yesterday, and England don't arrive until tomorrow. But the weather, that is a concern. But in that interview chance that we had with Martin Odegaard, he said that the players don't worry about it. They played in hot places already this tournament, and he's sure that they'll cope.
I think it's a big change for all of us. We're from Norway, so we're not used to this type of weather. But I think the good thing is we've been here for a while now. We came early to America, and we're really used to it now. I feel like we've been really good in the games. Maybe one of the games we had a lot of cramps and that, but apart from that, yeah, I think it's going well, and we're used to it now. So it's not a big problem.
Fabulous cricketer. Right, first, England's footballers trained for the first time since that monumental win over Mexico on Monday morning. But there was no Reece James, Declan Rice nor Mark Gay with just 3 days until the quarter-final against Norway. So much for Thomas Tuchel to think about then. Rice and Gay were at least following their own training programmes away from the rest of the group. James is a concern as he hasn't trained in over 2 weeks. Jarell Quansah did train, but he was sent off against Mexico, so of course he's not available for the game against Norway. Which means the problems at right back continue. Jed Spence looks sprightly, bearing in mind he didn't look 100% when he came on in the second half against Mexico. Jude Bellingham is in great form, but he's one of 5 England players on a yellow card, so he cannot afford another booking on Saturday. That would rule him out of a potential semi-final, depending on how they get on against Haaland and co. So, just the 22 players in training today, 19 outfield players and 3 goalkeepers. No Jordan Henderson, of course, after he broke his arm at the Azteca. He's been ruled out of the rest of the tournament.
Morgan Rogers should be here in the next 15 minutes, next half an hour or so. They're not always bang on time, depends how training goes and how long the warm-down sessions are. But it's the first time we've had an England player here for 6 days. We were last here just before we flew out to Mexico City, of course. But now in Kansas City, an awful lot of teams aren't here. The Netherlands aren't here, Algeria aren't here. Of course, Argentina are still here with a certain Lionel Messi, but that's why you've got so many journalists around. And if I step back, actually, if I come out here a little bit, see just how many cameras there are, because a lot of those journalists that have been covering Netherlands and Algeria are now here, very interested in England. This is our camera here, look. This is our camera, focused in on where Morgan Rogers will be speaking very, very soon. Come and have a look around this side, and you'll see that some of the guys are still sending down some of the pictures we got at training, England training, just a little bit earlier on. Boiling hot sunshine and very, very warm for the players, which will replicate exactly what it's like in Miami, by the way, where they've got some heat warnings out for when England play there on Saturday. But Morgan Rogers here very, very soon. Key questions for him. The reaction, the squad reaction to that incredible historic victory in the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City, and how much has that taken out of the England squad? Remember, no Reece James, no Declan Rice, no Mark Gay out there training today. Stay with us on Sky Sports News. Morgan Rogers should be up in front of the cameras very, very soon.
Norway, with Erling Haaland up front, of course, are in the last 8 for the first time in their history. Now, there have been reports of a sickness bug in their camp, but we've been told today that every player is fit, well, and raring to go.
I think when you change temperature and air condition and all that is normal, you know, so it's nothing major, to be honest. But yeah, we've had a few people feeling a bit sick, but nothing major, and should be all good for Saturday.
I think the illness is it's the right Ødegaard who are sick. It's his uncle who is a physio who is sick. It's not Martin, so everything is fine. Every player is fine. So. There's no sickness among the players. There's been 1 or 2 in the staff. So at this moment we are all ready to go.
So it's all been exaggerated a little bit in the media?
Not just a little bit.
Well, we just saw Martin Ødegaard there, and he's going to face a number of his Arsenal teammates on Saturday, and he's looking forward to the challenge.
I've spoken to a few of them a little bit during the tournament, but obviously we know the quality they have. I know them really well. Outstanding players, world-class players, playing for probably one of the best national teams in the world at the moment. So it's going to be a big test for us. But I think Brazil was the same. You know, we were the underdogs, and as you saw, anything can happen in football. So yeah, we're going to give it a good try and see what we can do, and looking forward to it.
And coming up against Dek.
Yeah, massive. He's been outstanding for such a long time. Playing with him, I think you can see all the qualities, you know, and yeah, such a pleasure to share the pitch with him, and yeah, what he's been doing for such a long time is just unbelievable. So yeah, looking forward to the challenge and to see them all.
Well, TV2 Norway pundit Jesper Matheson was in that news conference. He gave us that fantastic moment to remember yesterday. Well, he's with Gary Cottrell.
We've come inside to the indoor area of the Inter Miami Stadium, where Norway have just had their training session out in the afternoon heat. Jesper has joined me. I'm not 5'4", it's just that he's very tall. Jesper, we saw you going in the pool yesterday to try and cool off and to just show us what you will do if Norway beat England. You've dried off now, though, obviously.
Yeah, no, I'm good. It's that hot in Miami that you dry off pretty quick.
It's true. So we've just had the open training session, and we've just heard from Martin Ødegaard and the head coach. What did you glean from what they both had to say? The bug is exaggerated and not a problem. I guess it's the first thing we need to mention, because that's made headlines back in England.
Yeah, it's made headlines in England, but not in Norway. We knew that there were not any big problems with illness or sickness in the Norwegian squad. Okay, some players have had a bit troubles with their throat, but that's been because of the air condition. So today all Norwegian players trained. They looked healthy. They looked as if they were in a good mood. And I think to meet England for them is very, very special, because all Norwegians have grown up with watching English football. That's been the big thing for us. If you check over all Norwegian football fans, I think the two biggest clubs in Norway, and we also including the Norwegian clubs, will be Liverpool and Manchester United. So for the guys training out there now, when they were children, they were looking at Premier League, and that was the big thing. And we've also been following the English national team as one of our favorite teams, because we've been just sitting back home and watching you guys playing in the Euros and in the World Cup. So I think for all Norwegian people, to meet England is the biggest game we can get. Okay, Brazil was big, but to meet England in a quarterfinal, that's even bigger for us.
But obviously, Norwegians, despite that connection with the big teams in the Premier League, I guess Manchester City and Arsenal are growing in popularity as well because of Haaland, because of Ødegaard. But in the end, you want to beat England, don't you? It's important to beat England because you've made history already, and then who knows what can happen after that.
Norway can win the World Cup. Of course, when you're in the quarterfinal, you can win the World Cup. And we have some players with Haaland, Ødegaard, who can beat all teams in the world in one match. England will be favourites. England have all the pressure. But I think the Norwegian team now, when they beat Brazil, they beat Italy 2 times in the qualification. They know that if they are up against their top level, they can also create big problems for the English team. So, of course, we are more than happy to be in a quarterfinal. This is big for us. It was big just to qualify for the World Cup after all these years. But because it's been that long since we were in the World Cup or in the Euros, this is so big for the whole Norwegian population. So when I see pictures from Norway, I don't believe what I see. I think, is this real? But that's how it is in Norway now. It's craziness about this team. It's craziness about this World Cup. And, of course, when you're in a quarterfinal, you want to beat England, but it's going to be a tough game. I think England will be much tougher for the Norwegian team than Brazil. Brazil were not very impressive. England, with Tuchel as their new head coach, looks like a very solid and good organized team. So I think it will be a tough physical game. But of course, we can beat you.
England's toughest test so far as well. No question about that. Now, no illness. That's gone away. False alarm. But the heat. 2 teams who, let's face it, probably aren't used to this kind of heat. Will that be a factor? Because they're saying if you take all the conditions and put them together scientifically, okay, 33 degrees Celsius, but more like 40 in that, like, it will feel more like 40 at kickoff time. That's hot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hot. I think maybe both teams need to play in a quite different way than they would have done if the game would have been played in London or in Oslo. But it's pretty equal for both teams. Both England and Norway have players coming from the same leagues. We're coming from the same type of country. Yeah. So I don't think there will be any big favor either Norway or England's way. So I think it will be a factor. But when you see the game from the World Cup, also when you saw Mexico against England in Mexico, the game was in very high tempo, a very tough and good football. So I think we will get a very good football game. I think it will be pretty tight. 2 teams, 2 coaches, which will be very, very well prepared. And I don't think it will be a lot of chances. So, okay, who has the day? Is it Harry Kane? Is it Erling Haaland? It's some big battles coming in this game. Also Jude Bellingham, he will meet Sander Berge from Fulham, which also has great physique, been magnificent in this World Cup. So we have these interesting battles, Ødegaard and Declan Rice, all over the field. It will be a great match. And we had a new record back home in Norway with the Norway-Brazil game in terms of viewers on TV. And if you are awake and not watching England in Norway, I cannot understand what you do. You need to see this game, because this is maybe once in a lifetime possibility to play a quarter-final for this generation. And when we meet England as well, that's just doing it much more.
Yes, but you're talking about the game, and for all the build-up, TV2 is the place to watch it if you're in Norway. Sky Sports News is the place to watch it in England, and hopefully before we all go home, or one of us goes home, I'm going to do a bit of rowing with you as well.
No problem. We can row together, either if it's England or Norway going to the semi-final. And think about that, in the semi-final. Most probably, Argentina and Lionel Messi will wait. Huge days to follow both English and Norwegian football.
Yeah, it's well worth playing for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.